Stop scrolling right now because the penny you ignore every day could be worth thousands of dollars. Yes, a simple 1-cent U.S. penny sitting in your pocket or old jar might secretly be a rare treasure. Collectors around the world are paying crazy money for certain U.S. pennies, and most people have no idea what to look for. In today's video, we are revealing the top 5 most valuable 1-cent U.S. penny coins ever discovered, from pennies worth hundreds to shocking coins sold for millions. You will learn the key dates, mint marks, and rare errors that turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Watch till the end, because number 1 might already be in your home right now. Welcome back to the channel where old coins turn into real money and hidden history comes to life. Let's start the countdown. Forgotten America. The year was 1936. The United States was still crawling out of the Great Depression, and across the nation, coins played a vital role in everyday survival. Among them, the Lincoln wheat penny stood as a symbol of endurance, humility, and hope. This particular year marked the continuation of a coin series that began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, designed by Victor David Brenner. The wheat reverse became iconic, instantly representing the harvest of American labor and the fruits of democratic ideals. As the economy struggled in 1936, Americans clutched these small copper coins, using them for everything from a loaf of bread to a stamp for a heartfelt letter home. These coins were not just currency. They were lifelines, circulating through cities, farms, and factory towns alike. In 1936, 3 mint locations were responsible for the production of the wheat penny: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with Philadelphia producing the majority, with over 300 million coins denoted with no mint mark. The Denver Mint released about 40 million identified with AD, and the San Francisco Mint produced over 29 million carrying the S mint mark. Each of these coins carries its own narrative based on where it was struck and how it aged through time. The 1936 penny also stands out for the existence of a highly desirable collectible, the 1936 double die obverse, variety caused by a misalignment in the die during minting. This error created a doubling effect most noticeable in the words "Liberty in God," "We Trust," and the date 1936 itself. This variety is incredibly rare, and when found in high condition can fetch thousands of dollars among collectors. This mint error was not caught early, and therefore many entered circulation unknowingly, making the hunt for one today like searching for a needle in a haystack. But the historical relevance of the 1936 wheat penny goes far beyond mint errors. During this time, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was implementing the Second New Deal. The Works Progress Administration was building schools, roads, and bridges across America. And these very pennies passed through the hands of workers who were employed through government relief programs. A 1936 penny might have been tossed into a jukebox at a diner on Route 66 or dropped into a steel donation box at a local church. It could have been part of a young boy's allowance saved for comic books or part of a mother's last coin to buy milk for her family. Its journey is unknowable yet deeply woven into American life. During this transformative period, these coins were 95% copper, with the remainder being a mix of tin and zinc. They weigh about 31 grams with a diameter of 19 millimeters. Their reddish-brown tone varies depending on how they have been stored and cared for over the years. Uncirculated examples retain their original luster, while circulated ones tell stories through scratches, toning, and dents. The Philadelphia Mint had no mint mark, and many of these are still found today in average circulated condition, worth just a few cents. However, in uncirculated or red mint state, they can be worth significantly more, particularly in mint state grades above MS65, where values jump into hundreds of dollars. The Denver Mint D-Mark coins were fewer but still widely available. Their value follows a similar pattern, with mint state coins being the most desirable. The San Francisco Mint coins with the S Mint mark are even more sought after, especially in high grade due to their relatively lower mintage. One of the most important aspects for collectors is eye appeal. This includes not only luster and color, but also strike quality and surface preservation, because these pennies were produced during a high-demand year. Some dies were overused, resulting in weak strikes. These coins are less desirable to advanced collectors, but still hold numismatic interest. In 1936, the United States was slowly seeing signs of economic recovery, but global tension was rising in Europe and Asia. The penny minted this year, therefore, represents a moment of peace before the storm, as by 1939 the world would once again plunge into war. These pennies remained in circulation throughout World War II and were part of the copper hoarding that led to the 1943 steel cent. During the war effort, some 1936 pennies were buried during the Dust Bowl migration, hidden in tin cans under floorboards or lost on abandoned farms. Today, metal detectorists often find them in the most unexpected places with corrosion, telling a silent tale of time and earth. Some collectors pursue the complete set of wheat pennies from 1909 to 1958, and the 1936 penny is a crucial piece in that collection, especially if the collector is chasing the famed 1936 double die. The rarity of this variety cannot be overstated. It is often counterfeited due to its high value, and as such, authentication by a third-party grading service like PCGs or NGC is essential. The process of grading a 1936 penny includes a detailed examination under magnification to assess doubling strike quality and wear. In cases of Miss 66 or higher with red color designation, the value can skyrocket at auctions. Coin shows across the United States often highlight rare varieties, and the 1936 DDoS are centerpieces in displays and dealer tables. Not only is this penny a collector's dream, but it has also become a symbol in American culture, appearing in textbooks, coin guides, and even inspirational stories of kids finding one in change that turns out to be worth hundreds or thousands. Those stories fuel the dream of treasure hunting among casual collectors and spark new generations of numismatists interested in the rich legacy of American coinage. The 1936 wheat penny is not just copper, it is a microcosm of American life in the mid-1930s, reflecting economic struggle, governmental innovation, and the quiet resilience of a nation. This coin holds its place among the most important and beloved collectible cents in United States history, and as every year passes, it grows even more valuable as a historical artifact, especially those preserved in mint state, from its design roots in the Art Nouveau movement through Victor Brenner's portraiture to the rustic harvest imagery of wheat on the reverse. The coin bridges artistry, economy, and memory. Each scratch, each mark, each fade is a fingerprint of American past, making the 1936 wheat penny more than money. It is memory in metal form, and those who hold one hold a piece of unfiltered history. To the world of rare American coins, where history and value meet today, we uncover the legendary 1944 wheat penny, a coin that holds secrets from the past and treasures for collectors around the world. The 1944 wheat penny stands as one of the most iconic coins in American history. It was minted during a time of global conflict and change. World War II was reshaping nations and economies, and even the smallest objects like a penny reflected the era of sacrifice and innovation. The wheat penny had been introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and by 1944 it was already deeply established in American pockets and purses, carrying both monetary and symbolic meaning. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, was revolutionary for its time. The obverse featured the bust of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that marked the first time a real historical figure had appeared on a regular circulating American coin. Brenner, a Lithuanian immigrant and talented engraver, was chosen to immortalize the 16th president on the coin. Lincoln was chosen not only because 1909 marked the centennial of his birth, but also because he represented unity, justice, and resilience values that resonated with Americans, especially in the early 20th century. The reverse design featured two wheat stalks, framing the words, 1 cent United States of America and E pluribus unum. This simple yet elegant design symbolized growth and prosperity. The wheat stalks suggested the nation's agricultural foundation and abundance, while the overall layout kept the coin balanced and distinct. By 1944, the United States Mint was working tirelessly to produce billions of coins for circulation because of the wartime economy and the massive demand for currency. During that period, the year before, in 1943, the Mint had experimented with a new metal composition, producing pennies out of zinc-coated steel instead of copper. Since copper was essential for war materials like ammunition shell casings and electrical wiring, those steel cents became infamous for their tendency to rust and corrode and for their silvery appearance, which confused many people who mistook them for dimes. In 1944, however, the Mint reverted back to a copper-based composition using mostly recycled shell casings from the war effort. These were melted down and transformed into coinage, giving the 1944 wheat penny a unique connection to the battlefield and home front alike. The composition was 95% copper and 5% zinc, making it similar to earlier issues, but with the patriotic distinction that it came directly from recycled military materials. Collectors often refer to these as shell case cents. The Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, and San Francisco Mint all struck pennies in 1944. Production was massive, and over 1 billion wheat pennies were minted across the three facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest share with more than 1 billion alone, making the 1944 Philadelphia wheat penny one of the most common issues of the entire series. Denver followed with hundreds of millions, and San Francisco produced fewer but still significant numbers. Each coin can be identified by the mint mark located under the date on the obverse. The Philadelphia Mint coins had no mint mark. Denver coins were marked with a D, and San Francisco coins carried an S. Although the 1944 wheat penny is considered common, certain varieties and errors make it extremely valuable. One of the most famous is the 1944 steel penny. This rare error occurred when leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally found their way into the presses. In 1944, only a handful of these steel cents are known to exist today. They are considered some of the most valuable pennies in American history, with auction records reaching into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another valuable variety is the 1944 D over S repunched mint mark, where a D was struck over an S mint mark, creating a unique error highly sought after by collectors. The story of the 1944 wheat penny goes beyond rarity and value. It connects to the broader history of American coinage, and the cultural context of the time coins serve as tiny historical documents reflecting the politics, economy, and values of the society that produced them. In 1944, Americans were living through wartime rationing, victory gardens, patriotic bonds, and an uncertain global future. Yet the small copper penny was a symbol of endurance, something everyone carried with them every day and often overlooked. Collectors value the 1944 wheat penny for many reasons. For some, it is nostalgia, remembering a time when pennies could still buy candy or play a role in childhood memories. For others, it is investment, knowing that varieties like the 1944 steel cent or high-grade mint state red examples can bring significant premiums at auction for historians. The coin represents the ingenuity of a nation at war, recycling shell casings into coinage and keeping the economy moving despite resource shortages. Grading plays a vital role in determining the value of the 1944 wheat penny. Coins are evaluated on color strike luster, and preservation pennies that remain red with minimal wear are the most desirable and can command impressive prices. While worn brown examples are worth mostly face value or a small premium, yet even common examples are cherished for their connection to history. Mint state red gems, especially those certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC, are the crown jewels of collectors' holdings. Beyond the United States, the 1944 wheat penny also became a cultural ambassador. Many of these coins found their way overseas in the pockets of soldiers serving abroad as they traveled through Europe and Asia. Pennies were often traded, given as keepsakes or left behind, and decades later, collectors and treasure hunters around the world still find them as relics of that global era. In this way, the coin becomes not just a piece of American history, but a global artifact of the Second World War. When studying the production records, we see that the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion coins, Denver over 430 million, and San Francisco over 282 million. These numbers underline just how massive the wartime production effort was. Yet among the billions of coins struck the survival of rare varieties, like the steel cents and mint mark errors, makes the hunt exciting for collectors. Every coin tells a story, and every variety offers a mystery waiting to be uncovered. The 1944 wheat penny also marks the continuation of a long lineage of Lincoln cents, which have now become the longest-running coin design in American history, lasting over a century. With only minor modifications, the wheat design continued until 1958, when it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The 1944 issue sits right in the middle of that timeline, bridging the earlier decades of the series with the later years leading up to the memorial design. Over the course of its existence, the 1944 wheat penny has been studied, cataloged, and treasured by numismatists. Worldwide guidebooks, coin clubs, and auction houses continue to highlight its significance, and the ongoing fascination ensures that new generations of collectors keep the legacy alive, whether one finds a simple circulated example in pocket change or pursues a rare steel cent in high grade. The coin offers a tangible connection to American heritage. The value of the 1944 wheat penny continues to evolve as markets shift in circulated condition. Most are worth only a few cents or small premiums, but in high mint state or with rare varieties, the prices soar. Some auction records have seen steel cents surpass $100,000 and red gem copper cents achieving thousands. This range shows both accessibility for beginners and extraordinary potential for serious collectors, making it a versatile coin in the world of numismatics. As we reflect on the 1944 wheat penny, we see it as more than metal. It is history, memory, and meaning compressed into a small, round piece of copper. It speaks of a time when America was united in purpose, when even pennies carried the weight of sacrifice and innovation, and when a simple coin could connect a nation to both its past and its future. It continues to inspire fascination, today proving that even the humblest coin can tell a story that lasts forever. Coin in your hand and wondered how a piece of copper less than an inch wide could carry the weight of an entire nation's history. The 1945 wheat penny is not just a coin. It is a witness to the final year of World War II, a symbol of American strength and resilience, and a treasure that collectors today hunt for with passion. This is not just about a cent. This is about a story. The 1945 wheat penny stands as one of the most iconic coins of mid-20th century America because it was minted during a defining year in global and American history when the world was seeing the final chapters of World War II and the United States was emerging as a superpower. The wheat penny design itself dates back to 1909, created by Victor David Brenner to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it remained in circulation until 1958, making it one of the most familiar and beloved coins in American pockets. The obverse of the 1945 wheat penny displays the portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the word "Liberty" to his left and the date 1945 to his right with the motto, "In God We Trust," running above his head. This design became a national symbol of unity and trust during times of uncertainty, and in 1945 it had special significance as soldiers were returning home from battlefields abroad and families were rebuilding lives at home. The reverse of the coin displays two wheat stalks, which give the wheat penny its name, surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum, above symbolizing out of many one. The simplicity of the design reflected the values of the people, hardworking, honest, and unified in a common cause. During 1945, the United States Mint produced wheat pennies at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint struck the majority of these coins with no mint mark. The Denver Mint coins carried a D mark, and the San Francisco Mint coins carried an S mark. Each mint played an important role in supplying currency for a nation that was both fighting a war and preparing for peace. The total mintage in 1945 reached more than 1 billion coins, making it one of the highest production years in wheat penny history. But even with such large numbers, some coins from this year remain rare and valuable due to minting errors variations, and condition collectors today seek out these special varieties because they tell unique stories about the minting process and the challenges faced by the United States Mint during wartime. Copper was still the primary metal used in 1945. Pennies, unlike 1943, when steel cents were introduced to save copper for ammunition and military equipment. By 1945, the war was ending, and copper supplies were more stable, allowing the return to traditional bronze composition, which was 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This return to bronze was symbolic in its own way, a sign that the war economy was shifting back to civilian needs and that normal life was slowly being restored. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion 1945 pennies, making them common in circulation. The Denver Mint struck more than 266 million coins, and the San Francisco Mint produced 181 million coins. Although these numbers are high, the condition of coins and specific varieties make all the difference in value. Today, many pennies were heavily circulated because they were used daily in stores, gas stations, theaters, and markets, meaning that high-grade uncirculated examples are far rarer and command strong prices. Collectors also treasure error coins from 1945, which can include doubled dies-off center strikes, repunched mint marks, and lamination errors. Each of these mistakes happened during the minting process, and while rare, they serve as windows into the industrial pressures of wartime America when speed and volume were prioritized, yet precision sometimes slipped. The historical context of the 1945 wheat penny is equally important. America in 1945 was a nation both celebrating victory and mourning loss. President Franklin D. Roosevelt had passed away in April, just months before the end of the war, and Harry S. Truman had taken office, guiding the country through final military campaigns, including the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the surrender of Japan in September. When people spent a 1945 penny, they were living through monumental moments in history. Pennies changed hands as news of victory filled newspapers, as parades marched through cities, and as veterans returned home to start new lives. Every penny carried the weight of those experiences, and thus each 1945 wheat penny is like a tiny time capsule of that era beyond history. Collectors today evaluate 1945 wheat pennies based on grading systems that range from good to mint state. The higher the grade, the sharper the details of Lincoln's portrait, the wheat stalks, and the lettering. Coins graded MS-65 and above with original red luster are highly sought after, especially those with clean surfaces and no major blemishes. San Francisco Mint coins with strong strikes also command premium values in the marketplace. Although billions were minted, only a fraction survive in pristine condition, and these are the gems that collectors will pay hundreds, even thousands of dollars for, depending on rarity and demand. The story of the 1945 wheat penny does not end with mintage numbers or grading. It is also about what the coin represents for Americans. It represents resilience. After years of war, it represents the memory of Abraham Lincoln, whose face was chosen to inspire unity. And it represents the everyday life of Americans who worked hard, dreamed big, and invested in the future during uncertain times. Coins like this connect us not only to economic history, but also to personal stories of family sacrifice and national triumph. Today, when collectors search for a 1945 wheat penny in change jars or purchase them from auctions, they are not just collecting metal. They are collecting history and legacy, from the fields of Europe to the islands of the Pacific to the streets of America. In 1945, these pennies circulated as silent witnesses to a changing world. Each scratch, dent, or shine tells a story of hands that held them, whether it was a factory worker in Detroit, a farmer in Kansas, or a returning soldier in New York. When you hold a 1945 wheat penny, you hold a direct link to their lives, their dreams, and their history. And that is why the 1945 wheat penny remains so valuable not only in dollars, but in meaning. Step into the world of numismatic treasure, where every coin tells a hidden story. Today we unlock the secrets of the rare American coins, focusing on the legendary wheat penny of 1939, a small piece of copper that carries the weight of history, rarity, and collector passion. The wheat penny of 1939 stands as one of the most remarkable pieces of American coinage history, a coin that was struck during a turbulent time when the United States was slowly recovering from the Great Depression, and the world was on the brink of entering the most devastating conflict in human history, the Second World War, to understand the wheat penny of 1939. We must go back in time to the origins of the Lincoln cent, which was first introduced in 1909 as a way to honor the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first widely circulated American coin to feature a real historical figure, and it replaced the Indian head cent that had been in circulation since 1859. The design of the Lincoln cent was created by Victor David Brenner, an immigrant from Lithuania who became one of the most celebrated engravers of his time. He crafted a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, based on a photograph taken by Matthew Brady, and the reverse side of the coin carried two wheat stalks symbolizing prosperity and agricultural strength, which gave the coin its nickname, the wheat penny, from 1909 until 1958. The wheat reverse was used, making this series one of the most beloved by collectors across the world. The 1939 wheat penny falls within this range, and although on the surface it may appear to be just another copper cent, its story is rich with history, minting details, rarity varieties, and the economic backdrop of its time. The year 1939 was significant for both the United States and the world in America. The economy was still healing from the long shadow of the Great Depression. The New Deal programs launched earlier in the decade had brought some recovery, but unemployment remained high and industries were still struggling to return to pre-1929 levels internationally. September of 1939 marked the beginning of World War II when Germany invaded Poland, and although the United States did not enter the war until 1941, the global tension was already shaping policies. Trade and public sentiment coins struck in this year, therefore carry with them not only the image of Lincoln, but also the weight of a nation in transition. Industries were still struggling to return to pre-1929 levels internationally. September of 1939 marked the beginning of World War II when Germany invaded Poland, and although the United States did not enter the war until 1941, the global tension was already shaping policies. Trade and public sentiment coins struck in this year, therefore carry with them not only the image of Lincoln, but also the weight of a nation in transition. The 1939 wheat penny was struck at three United States mints: the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, the Denver Mint with the D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint with the S mint mark. Each of these carries its own level of rarity and collector interest. The Philadelphia Mint produced the highest mintage of 316 million pieces, which makes the 1939 no mint mark penny relatively common. The Denver Mint produced around 15 million coins, making it scarcer, while the San Francisco Mint struck just under 52 million pieces, placing it in between the two in terms of availability. However, collectors value these coins not just for their mintage numbers, but also for the condition in which they survive. Uncirculated examples of the 1939 wheat penny, particularly those with sharp strikes and original red luster, are considered treasures by numismatists. Grading agencies like PCGS and NGC assign numerical grades to coins with mint state 65 and higher being the most sought after, while circulated coins are easy to find. Pristine, uncirculated survivors are much more difficult. This is because pennies were heavily used in everyday transactions, and most were quickly worn down through circulation, making high-grade survivors rare. There are also notable varieties and errors associated with the 1939 wheat penny. One of the most recognized is the doubled die obverse, where details like the date or lettering appear doubled under magnification. Though not as famous as the 1955 doubled die, the 1939 varieties still attract strong collector interest. Repunched mint marks, where the D or S mint mark appears to have been stamped more than once, are also popular among collectors and can dramatically increase the value of the coin in auctions and private sales. Error coins such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks from this year are also cherished for their uniqueness. Each error coin represents a glimpse into the minting process and the imperfections that escape the quality control of the time. The composition of the 1939 wheat penny was 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams and measuring 19 millimeters in diameter. This standard composition had been used for decades and would remain until 1943, when wartime shortages forced the mint to strike pennies in zinc-coated steel. Instead, copper was needed for the production of ammunition and military equipment during the war years, which makes the pre-1943 copper cents, including the 1939 penny, important markers of the pre-war era. Holding in your hand a 1939 penny is holding a Your hand, a 1939 penny, is holding a fragment of America just before it stepped fully into World War II. Collectors often categorize the 1939 wheat penny into several groups based on strike quality and preservation coins, with original red surfaces are considered the highest tier, followed by red-brown, and then brown coins which show full toning from circulation. Red examples in high mint state grades can fetch hundreds of dollars, while even circulated versions hold steady value because of their age, historical importance, and popularity among collectors. When we look at the broader history of the wheat penny, we see that the 1939 issue sits in the middle of the series. It was not the first, not the last, and not struck in a key year like 1909 or 1955, but it still tells its own story, the story of a nation standing between depression and war, a people who still believed in progress and prosperity, symbolized by the wheat stalks, and a mint that continued to deliver billions of coins to fuel commerce during uncertain times. Beyond the facts and figures, the 1939 wheat penny has a cultural significance. Many collectors can remember finding these coins in circulation decades later, well into the 1950s and 1960s, when wheat pennies were still commonly encountered in pocket change. Today, finding one in circulation is rare but possible, and the thrill of spotting those two wheat ears on the reverse is what has sparked a lifelong collecting passion for many numismatists. Children in the 20th century often started coin collecting with wheat pennies found in change, and the 1939 issue remains a favorite for building sets, whether in circulated grades or as part of high-quality registry collections. The legacy of the wheat penny, and the 1939 issue in particular, is a legacy of resilience, of memory, and of the enduring American spirit. As small as it is, the coin embodies a moment in history when the United States was still climbing out of hardship while bracing for challenges that lay ahead for collectors, investors, and historians. The 1939 wheat penny is more than a coin. It is a doorway to the past, a conversation with history struck in copper and passed from hand to hand across generations. Humble coin could be one of the most important pieces in American numismatic history. The year is 1938. America stands quietly in the shadows of a changing world. The Great Depression is ending. The winds of war are blowing overseas, and yet in the pocket of a hard-working American sits a simple copper coin. 1 cent bearing the face of Abraham Lincoln with 2 wheat stalks on the back. This is the wheat penny of 1938, and its story is far deeper than its denomination. The wheat penny design began in 1909, marking the centennial of Lincoln's birth, created by Victor David Brenner. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse carries two wheat ears, symbolizing prosperity and unity. This design would continue until 1958. But every year within this series holds its own chapter, and the year 1938 brings forward its own tale. Minted in three locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1938 Wheat penny was struck in a time of preparation and economic transition. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 156 million coins, the Denver Mint just over 20 million, and the San Francisco Mint a little over 15 million. These numbers may seem large, but for collectors and historians, the story lies beyond the mintage. It lies in condition variations, mint marks, historical context, errors, and survival rates. Let us begin with the historical backdrop of 1938. The United States was still grappling with the effects of the Depression, but slowly recovering. Franklin D. Roosevelt was president. His New Deal programs were reshaping American life, jobs were returning, industry was growing, and yet Europe was heading toward the Second World War. Coins of this era became subtle witnesses to these times, circulating in millions of hands across cities, towns, and rural communities. The penny may have seemed insignificant, but it was a daily tool, a necessity, a marker of time. In terms of composition, the 1938 wheat penny followed the standard used since 1909, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This bronze alloy would continue until 1943, when the wartime steel cent was temporarily introduced, but the 1938 penny remains within that traditional copper standard, giving it a rich reddish-brown tone when preserved properly. That tone is sought, after today, by collectors, especially in uncirculated condition. Next, we must understand the significance of mint marks. The Philadelphia coins bear no mark. Denver bears the D and San Francisco bears the AS. The 1938 D and 1938 S coins had lower mintages, making them more desirable in higher grades, while circulated examples are common mint, state red examples with full details. Clean surfaces and strong luster are far scarcer and bring higher premiums at auction. A key area of intrigue in the wheat penny series is error coins, and the 1938 penny offers several examples from doubled dies to off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and die cracks. Errors from the Denver Mint especially are often sought due to their crisp strike quality and the likelihood of varieties developing in smaller runs. Repunched mint marks, or RPM coins, are known to exist in the 1938 D series, with doubling visible under magnification in the DI mint mark itself. These varieties are cataloged by specialists and fetch strong interest among error collectors. Moving into the realm of grading, we consider how these coins are evaluated on the 70-point Sheldon scale. A 1938 penny in good condition may only bring face value or slightly more, but one in MS65 red condition certified by PCGs or NGC can be worth significant sums, especially if it possesses a rare variety or a perfectly preserved surface with original mint luster. Color plays a major role as well, with red, brown, and brown designations describing the copper color preservation. Red is most desirable as it indicates minimal oxidation and maximum eye appeal. The auction history of the 1938 wheat penny tells a vivid story. In recent years, MS67 red examples have sold for hundreds, even thousands, depending on rarity and demand. For example, a 1938 D in MS67 red with a sharp strike and original color may bring over $1,000 in top venues, including heritage auctions, stacks, Bowers, and great collections. The provenance or ownership history of these coins can also enhance their value, with some specimens carrying a chain of elite collectors in their records. Beyond the numbers, the 1938 wheat penny serves as a mirror of American resilience, as the nation climbed out of economic hardship and into a new industrial era. This coin circulated during moments of transformation, from radio dominance to the rise of television, from old world immigration to new world industry, from the first supermarket to the last days before World War II. Each coin touched lives, witnessed transactions, and silently chronicled the American experience. For the numismatist, the 1938 wheat penny is not just a collectible, it is a portal into the past. It allows us to trace metallurgy, technology, design, and the evolution of American culture through something as simple as 1 cent. It is why collectors pursue not just rarity, but connection. It is why condition matters, not just for value, but for preservation of memory. Advanced collectors often pursue full sets of wheat pennies by year and mint mark, with high-grade examples filling albums or slabbed collections. The 1938 issues, especially from San Francisco, are considered condition. Rarities, meaning few high-grade red examples, survive from that mint due to weaker strikes and less careful handling over time. Their population in top grades remains limited, creating constant demand. We must also speak of fakes and counterfeits as the hobby has grown. So have attempts to create replicas, altered mint marks, or artificially colored pieces. This makes authentication crucial, especially for high-value coins. Third party. Grading services play a vital role in ensuring legitimacy, assigning grades and sealing coins in tamper-proof holders with serial numbers accessible online through databases. In the world of education and museums, the wheat penny remains an accessible tool for teaching history, economics, and design. Even schools use them to introduce children to coin collecting and the world of numismatics. A 1938 wheat penny can spark conversations about inflation, industry politics, and the personal stories of those who use them daily. As we move deeper into the 21st century, the value of these pennies extends beyond price. It lies in preservation, storytelling, and the shared passion of millions of collectors worldwide, from beginners with jars of old change to specialists curating mint state rarities. The community continues to grow, centered around the quiet, humble wheat penny. As we approach the conclusion of this detailed journey, let us reflect on what makes the 1938 wheat penny so compelling. It is not its price tag, though some are quite valuable. It is not only its copper shine, though brilliant reds catch the eye. It is its place in history. A coin minted on the brink of war, carried through a time of peace and struggle, used by people whose names we may never know, but whose legacy we honor with every coin collected, every story told, every memory preserved. So next time you come across a wheat penny, take a closer look. If it says 1938, remember that you hold not just a coin, but a piece of the American soul, a quiet survivor from a world that was changing 1 cent at a time.